Question 16. We explained this graph while solving question 15. So let's just go straight to the question. Which of these following represents the relationship between H and C? That's the relationship between this H, that's the time in hours, and C, the total cost in dollars. What this question is saying, in other words, is that we find the equation of this line, because the equation of this line shows the relationship between H and C. And finding the equation of a straight line can be done with two formulas. It's either you use y equals mx plus c, or you use y minus y1 over x minus x1 equals m. And note, you have to find m first, the gradient, because you don't have the gradient. You need the gradient of the line to solve the question. And to find the gradient, you can take any 2 points on the straight line on the graph. Let's say we take this point and this point. Let's take this first. At this point, you have your x to be 1 and your y to be 8. So you say x1 equals 1, y1, that's the y coordinate of this point, is 8. Then for the next point, you can take any other point, but let's take this one where x is 2. So you can say x2 is 2. Then on this point, y2 is 11. On the y-axis, it is 11. That's y2 is in between 10 and 12. So you have 10, 11, 12. So y2 is 11. y2, that's the y coordinate of that point, is 11. And with these values, you can find the gradient. Formula for gradient, that's m is equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is equals to, your y2 is 11, your y1 is 8. So you have 11 minus 8 over, your x2 is 2, x1 is 1. So you have x2 minus x1, that's 2 minus 1. This is equals to 11 minus 8 equals 3 over 2 minus 1, that's 1. 3 over 1, or 3 divided by 1, is 3. So our m is 3. That's the gradient is 3. If you know your gradient is 3, you can use any of these two formulas to solve the question. Now, it's saying which of these following represents the relationship between H and C. Note that your H here represents your X using this equation, while your C represents the Y. That's why you have it here. That's the cost. So rather than use X and Y, you'll be using C and H. Now that you have your M, using this formula, let's use this formula first to solve. You have y minus y1 over x minus x1 equals m. Your y1 has to be an actual numeric value, and same as your x1. We can use this x1, y1, and we can also use this x2, y2 as our y1, x1. It doesn't matter. But let us just use this, where our x1 is 1 and our y1 is 8. The complexity in this question is you're not working with normal x and y. Now you'll be changing your x and y, precisely this y and this x, to c and h respectively. The y is c, the h is x. So we'll change them and we'll put the numeric value for y1 and x1 and m and create the equation. So rather than have y, we'll be having c. So you have c minus, your y1 is 8 minus 8 over x is h here, so you have x is ours. So you have h minus, the x1 in this case is 1, because you have to take the coordinates of a particular point. We don't mix them up. If you are taking this value, you have to take the x coordinate and the y coordinate. So your x coordinate of the point is 1 equals m, the gradient that we calculated earlier, is 3. We can make it 3 over 1, then we cross multiply. We cross and multiply this, and cross and multiply this. So we have c minus 8 times 1. You have it as c minus 8 in bracket times 1 equals, on the other side of equals sign, we have h minus 1 times 3. The 3 affects both of them, not just the 1. You have to be very careful here. Students sometimes make mistakes in cases like this. So we have h minus 1 in bracket times 3. Anything times 1 is that same thing. So c minus 8 times 1 is c minus 8. You can say c times 1 is c, minus 8 times 1 is minus 8. So you have c minus 8 equals, this 3 affects this h and this minus 1. So 3 times h is 3h then 3 times minus 1 is minus 3. The c serves as our y. Standard in an equation for a line graph, the y is always outside on the left, while the x with its coefficient and the constant are always on the left. And in this case, c represents y. So we have c, which stands for y, equals 3h minus 3. Then this minus 8 crosses the equals sign and becomes plus 8. We have c equals 3h minus 3 plus 8. You are owing 3, you have 8. You have more than you owe. If you pay what you owe, what you have initially will drop, but you still have. So since you still have is positive, that's plus 5. So the answer to this question that shows the relationship between c and h is c equals 3h plus 5. This is just simply creating an equation for the line using c and h instead of y and x. The answer is therefore c, that's c equals 3h plus 5. As said earlier, there are 2 ways of solving this question. You can either use this method or use this. Let's use this as our second way of solving the question. You have y equals mx plus c. Solving to this point, we have the gradient, which is m. We have to find the c first. With this, it's easier to find the equation for the line. You have your c, your constant, which is your y-intercept. Going back to the graph, the y-intercept is 5, in between 4 and 6, where the line hits or crosses the y-axis. So your c is 5. And since the relationship is wanted in terms of h and c, this y is c and h is x. It's on the x-axis. So we change y to c and x to h. And we change m to its numeric value and c also to its numeric value. Since y is c, you change this to c equals m, which is your gradient is 3. You have 3. And x in this case is h. Change it to h plus c is where the line hits the y-axis, which is 5. So plus 5. So we see that using this second method, it's faster if you understand what to do. And the answer is still same as using the previous method, which is c equals 3h plus 5.